Stewart here, coming to you from sunny Spain. I'm on my way to Puerto Banús, which for those of you that don't know is one of the glitziest, fanciest parts of Europe, certainly southern Europe anyway, and it's a place where people with lots more money than I do go to show off their extremely expensive, amazing cars and make people like me extremely jealous. Anyway, I want to take some photos of those lovely cars. But I've seen there before some guys getting chucked out of there because they have so-called professional cameras. So I'm going to take photos with a GoPro and a phone. The phone in question is an iPhone 11, which is a bonkers expensive phone. It does take good photos, but not everyone has access to a phone like that. Lots of people do, however, have GoPros. So to answer those who say, why would you ever bother taking photos with a GoPro? Well, the camera that you have on you is the most useful camera at any point in time, and especially in a place like this where you can't just whip out some Canon 1DX or Sony A7 III or whatever the case may be. Let's see what we can get out of this GoPro. Raw photos, that's what I'm interested in. You can do it on a phone with a third-party app, but here you can do it easily with the GoPro, so we're going to take some raw photos and see what kind of results we get. Literally just turned round the corner. It does pain me a little bit massaging the ego of the owners of these cars, I have to say. You can guarantee that they sit in the cafes just watching all the people take photos. But I just need to rise above that. We're doing this for a purpose, and these photos I think are going to turn out great. Red Ferrari coming up. I don't know if you can see that behind me, but it's probably the least classy name I've ever seen for a shop. Billionaire. Keep my voice down. Because we're shooting raw, we don't need to worry too much about some of the settings. EV compensation I leave on 0. I think it does a pretty good job, unlike in video mode where I always put it down to -1 or -2. Sharpness and white balance don't matter because we're shooting raw, so we can manipulate that in post anyway. And on the shutter I just leave that on auto as well, because again the overall exposure that the camera takes is pretty successful when you leave the shutter on auto. And this is precisely why I'm enjoying taking photos with the GoPro, because you don't have to stress too much about all these extra settings. In a sense, you focus on your creativity, you focus on your compositions, the things that matter, your light, finding good subjects, all that kind of stuff, rather than obsessing over settings. Of course, when it comes to the post-production, that's when we can have some fun, because we have all that extra detail retained in that raw file. So let's do a super quick edit of this beautiful Lamborghini. First things first, we need to get rid of that horrible fisheye look. Go into lens corrections, enable profile corrections, and select a GoPro profile. So much better already. We'll straighten out the horizon a little bit, and now we want to stretch out the dynamic range. Pull the highlights down and the shadows up, and we get all that colour back. Thuggish cars require thuggish colour grading, that's what I say. So go to the texture, clarity, and dehaze and pull them up a bit. Looks so much better, but we've added some noise to the image. It's a small sensor camera, there's only so much we can expect, so add some noise reduction and a little bit of sharpening and it smoothens that image out. Looks great on cars, not so good on faces because it gives you that kind of painted effect, but it looks great on cars. Let's jump into Luminar 4 for some more corrections. AI Enhance, it does a beautiful job of adding some contrast and saturation to the places that you want it in an image, and AI Structure adds a little bit more clarity around those geometric shapes. If we look at a before and after here, look at that pop that we've added already, so much better. Let's give it that kind of tealish look. We take the blues in the advanced color settings and just pull the hue slider down and turn the blue into more of a teal. Let's add a vignette. If we choose a subject here, we can pick the area around which we want the vignette to focus, and by just darkening the perimeter of the frame, we add a little bit of center focus. Now here is where Luminar 4 really helps us out. Let's get rid of those guys to the left of the frame. This was a run and gun photo taken with the GoPro, so we don't always get the situation that we want. We use the clone and stamp to quickly remove those guys. It's a subject for another tutorial, but basically it's very, very easy in Luminar 4 and we don't need to go into big scary Photoshop. Look at the before and after. But we can do better. Look at that blown out sun. There just wasn't enough dynamic range to retain the detail in that sun. So let's replace the sky. This is one of Luminar 4's really cool tricks. Automatic one-click sky replacement. We need to do it subtly and tastefully. So let's find another blue sky that's going to work. So much better already, but we need to deal with that sun. So we'll add an artificial sun back in and boom, look at that. What a result. Incredible stuff. Thank you Luminar 4, link in the description below. Bit of a result on the question of security. Turns out the GoPro does not attract attention, which is fantastic. No one's bothered in the slightest. You can understand why the security here. I mean, there's crazy bolts and cars all over the place. Fantastic fun for taking photos though. GoPro battery ran out, not because the battery life is poor, just because it wasn't fully charged. A couple of things I've noticed shooting with it though. The angle is so wide that you have to get really close to the cars, and I'm not very comfortable doing that for obvious reasons. So I don't think I'm taking the best photos ever, I have to say. This video is about making the most of what you've got. It's not necessarily about taking professional automotive photos. Actually, with that in mind, where this phone might do better is it doesn't just rely on the wide angle lens. This is the iPhone 11, not the iPhone 11 Pro, so it's got the wide angle lens and it's got the standard lens. So with the standard lens, I won't have to get so close to the car to take some good shots. So let's see how we get on. Anyone want to help me do the maths on how many drone cinematography masterclasses we need to sell to buy this brown Bentley? I tell you what, I am really enjoying myself, and I think I'm having more fun with my phone and my GoPro than I would be doing it properly with a serious camera. At the end of the day, that kind of puts a bit of pressure on you to really deliver a good result. Less so when you've got a phone and a GoPro, it has to be said. I feel like I've stroked enough egos for one day, I have to say, but there's a great big Rolls Royce parked up here now. This place is absolutely insane. I mean, I've been here before and this is to be expected, but I think this has to be one of the better showings of outrageous cars that I've seen. Right, after all that nonsense, I've spotted the ultimate car. Icon of British engineering, pride of a nation, a Mini. And it's an absolute plug. That's also known as a banger in the UK. A beat-up automobile, if you will. So what have we learnt? Well, first of all, no matter how much money you've got, there's always someone out there with loads more than you. So I think that says a little bit about the need to continually accumulate. But philosophy aside, what we've also learnt is that the GoPro and the phone can take fantastic photos, and sometimes it's the right camera for the job. Comfortably going about here undetected, because after all I am doing is taking photos with a phone and a little gimmicky silly toy GoPro. Of course they're not toys, you know why I'm taking these photos. And you get good results. In the right hands you can do amazing things with any piece of equipment. It's what you do with it that counts.